This is Coast TV News meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono with this latest edition of Weather 101. And in this particular episode, we're going to discuss, well, nor'easter types here along Delmarva. Now, yes, it was a pretty snowy start to the year across Delmarva, where we picked up nearly a foot of snow. We are in the midst of a more milder stretch, but I figured we could discuss this because we still have some more winter left to go. So the nor'easters are classified into two types. We have Miller A and Miller B, and J.E. Miller was a scientist back in the 50s and 40s, and this system was developed by him, and a lot of meteorologists use this system in classifying the various nor'easters we see here along the eastern seaboard. Now, the first one we're going to discuss is a Miller A storm. This is a typical area of low pressure that develops in the Gulf, rides across Florida, and generally up the eastern seaboard, generally along a stalled out frontal boundary that parks itself along the east coast. Now, that storm will then intensify as it rides up the warmer ocean, typically the Gulf Stream, and typically intensifies that area of low pressure. And then you have that Arctic high to the north funneling in that Arctic air. So then what will happen is you will get a large area of precipitation that develops on the northwest side of that area of low pressure, and you see that big swath of snow that develops. This will affect the mid-Atlantic states and eventually New England, and then you'll get that area of mixed precipitation that usually develops, and then that area of rain. That mixing and that snow could go as far south as the Carolinas, down to Georgia, and that is all dependent upon how strong that area of high pressure is to the north, how strong that Arctic high is. And you also have a severe aspect of this storm system along the southeast and into Florida. You'll get some severe weather. You'll get some tornadoes as that Gulf moisture then lifts to the north and affects most of the northeast. Now, this is all dependent upon how strong this eye is to the north and how strong this area of low pressure is developing. For us, well, it all depends on the exact track of the low. If the low is right over Delmarva, if it's just to our east, we will typically mix. We may see more rain than snow. If that area of low pressure is just far enough to the east, allowing for that Arctic air to make it all the way to the coast, we will get mainly snow. Most recent, most historical example of this particular type of storm is the superstorm of '93, storm of the century. That really didn't produce much snow here on Delmarva. We generally saw about 1 to 4 inches. It was mainly a rain and wind event. That storm particularly dumped snow well to the west of Delmarva. So the other type of storm we have is a Miller B storm. This is typically a storm that we have an area of low pressure that comes out of the plains, develops, moves across the Ohio River Valley, and then into the Appalachians. And then you have that high to the south, you have the high to the north. The high to the north would be the Arctic high, funneling in that Arctic air into the mid-Atlantic. So that area of low pressure coming out of the plains then weakens, typically over the Ohio River Valley, the Appalachians, and then that area of low pressure, that energy will then transfer to the East Coast, typically around the Carolinas, Virginia, and sometimes even Delmarva. We get that secondary area of low pressure that develops. Now, as that area develops along the East Coast, that is your main storm system that develops, intensifies. Again, it all depends on the atmospheric conditions at the coast, and we may see the term bombogenesis, which you may have heard of in the past, where you get that rapid pressure drop over 24 hours, and that storm rapidly intensifies into a bigger storm system, takes over. Typically over the warmer ocean, the Gulf Stream there just off the east coast helps intensify that storm even stronger. Again, it all depends on where that low is set up. If that area of low pressure is set up closer to Delmarva, we're going to mix. We're not going to get much in the way of snow. But if that area of low pressure is just in the right sweet spot off the Atlantic coast, we get that Arctic air all the way to the coast, and then we get primarily a snowstorm here on Delmarva. This particular model here, this particular depiction here, you get the mixing at the coast, you get rain along the east the coastal areas, the coastal plain, and then you get that mixing just to the west, and then you get that snow in the interior. Heavy snow for the Mid-Atlantic. These are typically your, your 1 to 2 footers if they set up at the right time, and you get that Arctic high to the north. And most recently, for us, we had the biggest Miller storm in recent memory was back in February 5th and 6th of 2010. That classified the North American blizzard, but Sussex County picked up anywhere between 10 to 25 inches of snow with that particular storm system. So these are the more classic types of ways we get snow in this part of the country. We're a bit too far away from the lakes to see any lake effect snow, and typically with the Alberta Clippers, we generally get upwards of a couple inches with those storms, but those clippers don't produce the big historical snowstorms that we've had throughout the years here on Delmarva. So hopefully that helps clarify some of the nor'easter types that we get here along the East Coast. And we'll continue to keep you educated here at Coast TV on all the various weather that we experience here on the Delmarva Peninsula. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend and a safe week ahead. And this was the latest edition of Weather 101.